Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How you doing?
I'm good. Some lively talk before the actual recording of the show here today, guys. I'm telling Chris to pay up because I won that hockey pool. That's right. Even though it's not over yet, it's over for all these guys. So I had to brag a bit here on the camera here since it's been a while since you've come on the Late Night Chat Network there, Chris. So I gotta get it in here. I gotta get my hockey smack talk here. So you might see the replica cup behind me at some point, guys. I don't want to brag here, guys.
Hey, they say you shouldn't talk about it until you win. But you're a lock for this, right?
Yeah, I think it's over. I haven't talked about it till now. Like I was worried about that, but I don't even think anybody else has any plans.
I don't know, unless Florida goes up like 10-0 every game and freaking all the other guys' players are freaking scoring and assisting.
I got Edmonton and Florida players, though. It's over, man. It's over. But yeah, I guess enough hockey talk. We're here to talk about comics, everybody.
Vince Carter, it's over.
Come on, I got to figure out how to transition this into comics. It's
good. What do we got going on today?
All right, everybody, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want some more lively hockey pool talk as well as comic talk. You got to make sure to tune in here, guys. We do also open up hockey cards sometimes on this this network, on this YouTube channel that we call.
I got a blaster pack still sealed.
Do you? Very nice. Well, there you go, guys. Maybe Chris will be very nice and open up that on the channel. We'll see. I don't know. After all this smack talk, I just pay me my money.
Got a Bedard there sitting, maybe. Who knows?
You know, it'd be worse if I'm just like, hey, Chris, just give me some cards instead of the money, and then I just bullshit.
I got it.
But make sure you're subscribed to the channel, everybody, and hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified of when these videos do come out. You can also follow us on Instagram at Late Night Collectors Community. Sometimes we record videos to show the comics that we pick up week to week, and I just forget to post them. So that happens sometimes too.
I forget to make them, so don't worry.
Today we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of June 5th, 2024. And as always, spoiler warning, if you're afraid to get spoiled, you can always read your books and come back and check out the video. But lately, we've kind of been dropping these videos at the end of the week as the new week's coming out. So, like, if you haven't caught up by that point, and what the hell are you doing, man? Come on. Come on, you got to keep on top of this. It's the weekly grind of comics. It never stops, right? And it just keeps going. I mean, we take 1 week off a year, and that's for the holidays. And even then we're putting out a show, guys, for those the Comic Shop Talk Awards. Make sure to check those out if you've never seen those videos. It's our best of videos there, and some good stuff here today to talk about, Chris. Good week. So yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, let's talk comics.
Talk some comics. All right. So first up on the docket here today, we got X-Men 35, the end of the Krakoa era, or Uncanny X-Men 700. Yeah. And if you actually open this one up, it is one of those wraparound covers that shows like the entire cast of the X-Men here. I guess at least the Krakoa era X-Men here for the most part. As many as they could fit on the screen there. Chris, what'd you think of this?
I guess it ties up a lot of the stuff here. I wasn't here for the full ride of this Krakoa era. I'm kind of just jumped in the last few years. And from what I hear, those are the worst years of this era. But, it wasn't too bad. Like some of the stories that I am interested that got tied up or that was fine. I think at one point I thought Benjamin Percy was writing this there when he used the Shining scene that's coming up here.
He's like, hey, Chuck.
I thought, once I saw that, I go, who's writing this?
Right there. Yeah. Hiya, Chuck.
Yeah.
Here's Wolvie.
That's it. I'm surprised they didn't say that. But even still, it's still a nice panel. It's some good stuff there. I didn't mind reading about kind of what Professor X was up to. Those were some good storylines. I think there's a couple. They spend a lot of time on some of the storylines I didn't really care too much about.
Yeah.
I think was it like the new Krakoa era, wherever they're. I don't know that there's some crazy stuff with the islands. I think they try and put some good lines in there with. I think they're flying that jet over, and they're like the new Krakoa and some white hot room Krakoa couldn't talk, and then they merging, and I don't know what that was all about. And
the kid. Remember, there was that whole the kid that
yeah, they come back 15 years later, and the tuber kid,
yeah,
he's the leader now. I guess they solved their tuber problem and did a whole lot more. Because
yeah,
it seemed, I thought that was a nice panel there, or a nice end where they said they brought everybody back because they've had 15 years to do it.
yes,
So,
yes,
and the good thing is they brought them all back, but they're all not back in the universe because they're all sending them back to the white hot room, I guess, where they can all live in peace there and do whatever they want to do. And so it kind of takes them off the table, so you don't have to worry about them in this new reboot that's coming up. And anybody that wants to stay can stay. But like this one here, where they're flying over, going these islands having sex or something.
yeah.
That wasn't so bad, but I wasn't too keen on that story. But I think they spent too much time in the book, kind of going through all that stuff. Whether or not they should stay, or if they're good or bad, or something like that.
What I thought was weird that they spent a lot of time on was the fact that they had this whole apocalypse trying to like take over things in this obviously
Yeah, he kind of got shut down pretty easily there. It seemed.
yeah, and
I kind of like at the end there with Apocalypse and saying, my time is over.
yeah,
I guess at least on the Krakoa, they don't need me here anymore.
but he went for it. Like he was like, these people need someone to lead them. Like, cause I guess he wasn't ready to accept this end of the Krakoa age because like he is like the first mutant. And I guess the way they were doing things was the way that he would have liked to do things because he's always been like, like with Magneto.
Yeah, survival of the fittest and all that sort of. I guess they're kind of just arguing philosophies where it's not really survival of the fittest. I forget what they call it, the survival of the ablest or the most adaptive or something like that. And
yeah,
like I was just saying, it's I guess it's a nice a philosophical take on it, let's say.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually really liked that they brought that tuber kid back because we kept commenting on it in the previous issues and how like sad and tragic that was, and like it seemed like they totally just were just
just let them off to die. So yeah, I guess it's good to see that they did have a part of the story.
Yeah, and actually a big part here at the end. I thought like there was a good portion of this issue that was dedicated to him talking with them and kind of like you said, like sharing his philosophies and ways of life and how they're doing things in the white hot room there or whatever. And then like push came to shove and you got Apocalypse throwing down for what he thought was important of him being the leader of this movement here in one last play here, and it didn't go his way and he kind of was like cast aside and he was just like, okay, yeah, I guess they don't need me then, and evolution and all that kind of shit, right? We're moving on. And and he's somebody that's seen a lot, obviously, because he's the first mutant, right? And or back from like the first mutant time, right? But yeah, the thing that I thought was that kind of bugged me though about this issue is, yes, there was a couple of like short stories that came after, preceded the main wrap up of the X-Men issue. But the problem for me was like there were so many like big artists on this issue that it took you sometimes out of the story because it would transition in in the middle of a fight scene to like a jarring opposite fucking style of art. So like while there was a lot of good artists on this issue because they kind of had like a laundry list of fucking creators on this, including all the three main writers that were doing all the books right now, Al Ewing, Jerry Duggan, and Kieran Gillen on this. But like I think that some of the artists were so like jarring from one scene to the next that it was kind of like it kind of took me out of it. I felt like sometimes like there was one scene here where Apocalypse goes to fight. He hits this Kafka kid, the kid that was from like this kid that came back that grew 15 years, like in a short amount of time. And like the art just switches up to like right here, and I was like, what the fuck is going on, like from one scene to the next, and it's just like like again, and it's like,
It's like such contrast, because wasn't that like Phil Noto or something? And
yeah,
he's got a very subdued style.
right.
And then you go into something like this here that's like, whoa, what's like, is this a part of a different story or something?
Then you get a Walt Simonson splash page and a fucking JRJR splash page, and you're just like, whoa, like what? And like again, these are big artists that worked on the X-Men over the years, so like I get the idea of like why they did this, like they do with like anniversary issues and all this. They bring back all like the classic artists that have worked on X-Men. But you know, they haven't worked on the Krakoa era of X-Men, so it was kind of weird that they brought even those guys on for just even doing a page. I was just like, what? Why even bother? Like, you have so many good artists that worked on these books during this period of time. Why just not leave it to them? And majority of it was between like 3 or 4 artists that were like this guy, the one that did these Doom pages, had worked on the book for a bit, and that particular Doom arc, which I thought was kind of cool that he kind of came back here. I thought that was a nice nod to that. But yeah, you have the Walt Simonson page here. And then I don't even know who did this one. I can't tell who did this one. But then you got a fucking JRJR page of like Colossus punching the shit out of Apocalypse. And you're just like, it just, I don't know. And that's just the one page. So it was kind of weird. Some of the art styles like clashing with one another, like throughout this, right? It's not like one person did like one piece and then the other person.
Like when you kind of shifted maybe, storylines or locations, then you have different artists do that. But when you, like you say, when you jump from, panel to panel and it's a different freaking artist, that's kind of jarring.
Yeah, it was a bit, but otherwise I thought it was pretty good. I thought like I did like the wrap up, I think, for the most part. There were some good character moments. I really liked the shit that they did with Professor X at the end there. Like, even at the end of the day, he was kind of like, he was just like, haha, I was right. Like, so all this time to Magneto there, he's just like, all this time, you wanted things to go where the mutants all stayed together, but guess what? I was right and you were wrong, and you turned your back on humanity, and now you see that you need to be involved with humanity. And he's like, I just want to point out that I was right all this time. He's just like, yeah. It was, and then he goes like, kills somebody like in his prison. What the fuck was that whole story about in the back? Like, he like telepathically made some guy jump off a building because he wanted to kill a mutant. Like, this guy's like a serial killer. He's like, what do you call it now? Hannibal Lecter in the fucking cell. Like, he's like,
and that's another thing I didn't like too, though, with Professor X, where he's kind of too smart for his own good. He's, oh, you think I would have not put a freaking loophole in the people that built this prison for me? I can still get out. Basically, I'm only here because I want to be here. Yeah. If he's not, freaking on top of things, why even bother getting captured? Just go freaking be a hermit and live in the mountain or something. You can pull a Luke Skywalker from.
That's right.
I don't know whatever the Force Awakens or something.
Yeah. And then this part was pretty sick too, where Nightcrawler like ripped out fucking Apocalypse's eyeballs, and he just goes back to Wolverine. He's like, these are his eyeballs. He's like, whoa. And then he's like bleeding from the eyes. Like, I'm your Messiah, they're like, all right, settle down over there, Apocalypse. We don't need you.
Yeah.
So there was some good stuff in here. I still really liked it, but like, would have been better if they just left it at this and didn't give us like that fucking Nightcrawler and his
that was a garbage story. What's
mother, like the fuck was that? We don't even need that. Like, why? Like, just make this a smaller issue and give us like the good stuff. We don't need that fucking story.
Yeah.
I mean, the Xavier one was fine, but then you had that, and you had like some other story that was kind of setting up some of the new series, which I would have expected anyways. But there really wasn't a lot of that. Like, there really
whatever teases they had does not get me excited for the new X-Men reboots. Like, there was no big, okay, what the heck is happening in this new, this new whatever, the new issues that are coming out. I got to see.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, what, Cyclops is in Antarctica or something, and I don't know. I'm not really too excited for these new ones.
I kind of am, because again, it's like whenever there is a chance of some new good books, I'm looking forward to it. That might, ask me a couple months from now, that might change. But how about this last scene where they're all crying, looking at Krakoa? Like, I like this too. How they're all just standing there, like, yes, that was the end of the first Krakoa age, they say, right? Or at the end, and you see him kind of gleaming in the fucking in the background. I was like, that's pretty cool, actually. I kind of like the end of it, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's this whole little bit here.
Oh, and that stuff with Mother Righteous too.
Yeah, she got stabbed.
Is she dead or?
I think so. I mean, she was really just a new character for this story anyway, so it doesn't. I mean, at least it looks like she's dead. It looks like
But
fucking.
isn't she the one that sent them all to the White Hot Room?
Yeah,
where they would have just died anyways if they went to plan. So she did kind of do some good things.
But
unless I'm mistaken.
But she was in cahoots with Sinister. That was the whole thing, right? So that's why like Mystique tracked her down here, because I think she fucked over Destiny at one point. Right. So I think that was why she went and killed her there. Yeah. And then they're like, and then they just like they wrap everything up. And then just like, here's a couple of short stories of mutants killing people. Mystique kills somebody. And then fucking Professor X kills this guy who's got mankind written on his fucking forehead. He goes to like kill a mutant, it looks like, and he gets in his head from his cell and makes him fucking fall off or I guess, I don't know. We don't actually see him fall, but it looks like he's going to push him off the side of the building. Right. So I don't know, maybe just scaring him, but then this story sucked. I don't even know why they put this in there. I'm just like, why?
And they got to fight while they, instead of just having a conversation, it's like, no, we got to battle and talk.
Yeah. So, and then there was this one about Kitty Pryde. And these were just little things where they're like, this is kind of where they're at now. And Professor X, it looks like he's he's escaped the prison by the end of this issue. Like he made himself so like look like he died, or they tried to take him to the hospital, and then.
Oh yeah, let's say he tries to kill himself or something.
Yeah.
But his eyes opened at the end. Oh my gosh.
So I don't know. Overall, I think there was some good stuff in here.
Yeah.
I think I'll look back on this period of the X-Men more positive than negative. Quite.
Definitely. Yeah. It's good stuff going on.
Yeah. What'd you give this out of 5?
I'll give it a 3.75.
I'll go 4.
Yep.
I'll go 4. I can't give it higher than that, but I'll go 4 with it. I think the problem is like it could have been better if they cut out some of that fucking trim some of the fat there, the stupid shit they put in here, but I can go 4 with it, I think, out of 5. Overall though, again, there's a lot of really good stuff during the Krakoa era. There's a lot of Marauders was an awesome series. The Hellion series was really good. The main X-Men book by Jerry Duggan was really good. Immortal X-Men by Karen Gillan had some really good moments. It got confusing towards the end, as you and Chris have talked about here on the show. But overall, I think those were like the main series. X-Men Red, I don't feel ever really clicked for me the way I wanted it to, but at least from what I read. But yeah, a lot of really good, and obviously all the Hickman stuff, all the Hellfire Gala stuff was really good. The events that they did earlier on, there was some good stuff. So yeah, definitely check out some of the X books, because who knows, we could be moving into. There's always a period where they got to reboot it and it gets good again after like years of it sucking. So I hope that we're not getting it into one of those periods again. We'll see. I'm trying to be optimistic. Chris is like, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Chris. Scarlet #1, the newest of the Joe books here. I got this cover this week.
Let's see, where's my? I got a variant cover, a B cover. Oh, you got the same one.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah.
Like a ninja on there or something.
What'd you think?
I think this was a great comic. Like I don't remember specific details, but I do remember enjoying reading it. I'm enjoying the tone of the comic. It's still a little bit more adult there. And, the ending, hence, bringing in a new character, that's always great for speculators, but it was a good surprise to have it in there. And, Scarlet's, as a character in the cartoon, she was always just, like a stereotypical, side character. And, you get, at least, I've never read, big stories with her involved. And, we're kind of where they're picking this up here. I guess it's before she joins the Joes, and it's not a bad storyline.
I loved this issue. It was great. This is fucking action packed. It kept it moving. The pacing was excellent. The art was really good. I don't even know this artist. I don't feel like I've ever seen them before. This Marco Ferrari. If they have been on something else, I don't know if I've read it. But yeah, Kelly Thompson did a great job on the story, the writing, the dialogue. I've heard of this woman Jinx before from GI Joe, but again, I'm kind of new to a lot of this GI Joe stuff. I know Storm Shadow, who shows up at the end, and yeah, this is the corner of the GI Joe stuff that I think I will always enjoy the most. The things that I do know, or the stuff I think I would be the most interested in. And yeah, it's all this ninja stuff and all this like secret mission, like a special op type mission type stuff that she's pulling in here. Like she's trying to just trying to gather intel here. It's kind of almost like James Bondish, and then she's
just everything starts hitting the fan, and she's kind of going against orders. But what can she do?
Yeah, it was just sick. I loved it. I mean, she kicked some ass in this. She fucking threw down with like a shitload of ninjas towards the end of the story. I think in the GI Joe comic or maybe the cartoon, I'm not familiar. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with it, but Storm Shadow was always like an undercover guy, right? Like with the ninja people. That is that the case?
I don't know kind of how they had him in the comics. I know he was a character so popular they had to make him a good guy, so I think he did end up joining up with the GI Joes. He's got some sort of relationship with Snake Eyes.
Yeah,
I think in like some of the movies, they were having Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes were almost brothers, or Snake Eyes was adopted brother of Storm Shadow, and they trained together when they're kids. Whether they're going to use that here, I don't know. And but just seeing him out there is good.
And then this whole backstory about Jinx and Scarlet being friends and how they had like secret language of like symbols.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
kind of
like
secret
that.
code based on their memories, that nobody could break because they don't know what the memories are.
And I was listening to another podcast talking about this, and apparently because they really know their Joe stuff. The one I was listening to, they were talking about that Ashkaraji or whatever the fuck it's called. Like that's whatever that organization is or whatever that they keep that they're referencing, and this was something from the cartoons as well or the comics. So yeah, apparently this all tracks. Like I guess Kelly Thompson is a GI Joe fan. Like she knows her shit, and I mean that I'm hearing it from other people that this is actually pretty in line, while also kind of somewhat reimagining it for the Energon universe stuff. But I just thought this was excellent. Great first issue. Honestly, probably one of the best best single issues that we've gotten out of these mini series that have come out of the Joe stuff. Like this is that, like there, Duke was really good too, I thought, and Cobra Commander had its moments, but this was excellent. I can't wait for the next issue. When I finish this and Storm Shadow shows up, because I know who he is, I was like, oh shit. I'm like, and I love all this ninja stuff, right? So I'm in 100%. I can't wait for the next one. What'd you get?
Yeah, they're almost taking a page out of the MCU here, kind of giving all the players sort of their own little spotlight, and then bring them together for a GI Joe comic or something. When that comes, that's going to be big. As long as all these freaking comics kind of keep on hitting.
Yeah,
and so far they have been.
They have been. This has been fun. Yeah, I like I said, you don't have to be a huge, I feel like, fan of these properties to the point where like everything. I think these are very accessible comics. I think just know enough about it and be interested enough in them to be interested in reading these for sure helps. And that's where I'm at, but I don't know everything about these characters, and I'm having a blast with these comics. They're good stuff, and they got good people on them. It's not like this is just like Joe Schmo fucking writing and drawing them. Like these are big names. Like Kelly Thompson is a big fucking name. Like they've had good artists on these books. Dana Warren Johnson, like fucking Robert Kirkman's writing one of the books, Avoid Rivals book. Like these aren't nobodies, right? So like I think that helps too. Joshua Williamson, right? Like these are good people. What'd you give this, Chris?
I'll give it a 4. It was good stuff.
I give this a 4.25, verging on 4.5 even. I love this issue this week. All right, next up we got the Ultimates #1, and a new Ultimate Universe book here. I got the Ryan Stegman variant. Nice.
Yeah, I just got the A cover here.
What'd you think?
I wasn't too impressed with this one, I don't think. I think I'm just liking the Ultimate Spider-Man world. Like they got a lot of big shoes to fill here, and they're kind of how they got to that Ultimate Spider-Man world. I'm not really too interested in, it seems. And these new Avengers that they got together, I don't really care about them so much, unfortunately. What'd you think about this one?
Oh, I like this a lot, man. That's too bad you didn't like it. I thought, like, I will say you're right. You make a good point. Like, I can't say I have any attachment to these characters. I think the most interesting character, obviously, is Doom Reed Richards, because he kind of is like a maker in the making, sort of like he's a failed Reed Richards who's now become Doom, which is kind of cool. I think otherwise, though, like, baby Tony Stark, Iron Lad here, who I don't really care about that. I mean, yes, they have Captain America and Thor, a version of them here.
Yeah,
You got Hank Pym and Janet here, Van Dyne there towards the end of this, but I think the thing that's really interesting to me, though, is this whole 2 year, or I guess now 18
yeah.
month plan.
That's what I was gonna say. That's a nice, little kind of trick they put in the book, that there is like sort of a doomsday clock ticking,
Right.
and I guess they've tried to almost taken this time travel stuff off the board because it didn't seem to work.
Yeah. So for me, like, that is enough right now. Like, I agree with you. Like, I'm not crazy about this team. I actually didn't really even take time to think of that really until you brought it up. I agree. But the fact that there is like a mission here and a purpose for this team in this book, and I think that's gonna make it so they flesh out kind of this whole Ultimate Universe in a good way, because they're actively trying to be heroes and trying to bring back a world that never existed. I actually think it's a really, really, really good setup and clever setup for a series, honestly. So I was really impressed with the plot itself, but yeah, I think everything else I wasn't too crazy about. The art's okay, the dialogue was okay. It was a little overridden at times, I felt like, but the idea behind it is very interesting. So
Yeah, we got to start mixing it up with all these villains that they got still kicking around here. Like,
yeah.
like isn't each continent, kind of controlled by a certain group of villains or something, and figure they'd have their eye on things too. These guys don't get to be super villains by sitting on their hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it kind of, how like Spider-Man, like, I feel like barely anything has happened in that book yet. It's been so really good character work. This was the opposite. This was all plot and not really that much character work. So like in that aspect, like, I'm like, they're really trying to like do things in this book. Like I think that's what I mean. I think this complements the Spider-Man book really well in that sense, because like I feel like they're trying to do it all in this book. And meanwhile, in the Spider-Man book, it's kind of like you said, it's just smaller focused, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I love that book, but I just think like this is like big picture kind of idea.
Yeah.
Like this seems like a Hickman kind of idea, honestly. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Hickman threw this idea over them or something for like a.
Yeah, I'm sure Hickman gave the idea, let them run with it, and freaking they're tripping.
Yeah.
Hickman is like, it's too bad there's not more Hickmans together. I can put a whole team of heads together to freaking kind of to flesh out his visions.
You know what? You bring up a good point. That's the problem, is that maybe he was the architect behind this too, because he did basically set up this plot somewhat in the Ultimate End miniseries. The problem is, like you said, and I think that's why some people have criticized the X-Men stuff too, is that the only person that can do Hickman is Hickman. And if you don't have Hickman, and meanwhile, Hickman's doing a fucking weird other version of Hickman that we've never seen with the Spider-Man book that doesn't feel like Hickman at all. It is odd. It seems like Hickman should be the one writing this book, right? Like it's
yeah, but easy. Hey, don't give him no ideas. You keep Hickman on Spider-Man. I'd rather have a good Spider-Man than a lousy Ultimates than the other way around.
Yeah, because I'm not very familiar with the writer that did this, but I will say, like I said, I think it is an interesting idea, and I'm on board, at least for the first
Yeah,
arc.
they got 6 issues.
Yeah. But
That's my doomsday clock ticking for them, not 18 months.
You got the 6-month countdown for you. You're like, you guys got 6 months to impress me, or I'm out. What'd you give this?
3.5.
I'll go. I'll go 3.75. But it's verging on a 4. I think 4 all day plus for the 4 plus for the plot, for the idea, the concept of this book. But I think, I think it leaves a little bit something to be desired still. But a lot of potential. So that's a good thing. Venom 34, Chris.
How am I still buying this book? Well, maybe I didn't buy it this time. Oh no, there it is. Sorry, you have it.
You're like, shit.
But freaking, I'm still buying the next one because I got a freaking or my next solicitations. We got some Venom War coming up, which I'm not really too crazy about, and they got a sick cover though with an homage to the Punisher first appearance of Punisher with coming up. But anyways, that's besides the point. This one here, we got the Blood Hunt, I guess, tie in here, and I guess supposedly these whatever the vampires don't like the Venom blood, and for I don't know what's going on. Venom's gone to Lee Price, which supposedly he has some history with, and I don't know what's going on here again. I never know what's going on here. I just want this book to get grounded again, but it seems like that's not what Venom is, and I think I'm stuck with a Venom from like 300 or something, and this is like Venom 2024. I'm just out of it. But the story was okay. I don't know what's happening because sometimes Venom's a pool of just goo, and then he takes over a dead body or something. I don't know what's going on, but either way, at the end, I don't know who tells him, but somebody tells him that Dylan Brock is still alive, and they're going to be fighting or Venom's going to have to decide between who he's going to take. Somehow Meridia shows up in here. I thought all these guys were dead.
Right.
That's how he's writing freaking levels above me, so I can't stay. Yeah,
yes.
He walks in out of nowhere. And he's Eddie Brock though, still too. Like
that was all right.
Trap. Well, they're all Eddies somehow.
Yeah, they're all part of him, right? Yeah,
it's crazy.
I love hearing your reviews on that book. Sometimes you're like, I have no idea what's going on. It's okay to admit it, guys. Sometimes you don't know what's going on. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's 3.5. It's still a sick cover though. Come on, these covers are killing me here.
All right. Next up, we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha, which is, I guess, the prelude to the new Ninja Turtles series that Jason Aaron's going to be writing.
Did he write this one too, or is this?
Yeah, well, he wrote one of the two stories in here. So, so it kind of this teases this kind of sets up the direction for the first issue of his Ninja Turtles run in this, as well as it tells there's another story. There's two stories in this. The other story is basically setting up a new mini series that's supposed to be coming out in September, which is focused on like some of the other mutant characters from the IDW run. Old Hob, this guy that's been kind of in the book since the start, like 150 issues ago of this IDW run, which I've been reading in hardcover. So I'm like 20 or so issues behind, I feel like, or 30 issues behind the end of this run. But it's called Monster Island, and it basically is commenting on like all of these mutants, like where they have their own island place now that they're kind of like away from civilization, and I guess they're gonna have their own mini series starting September. But that's written by other people and has nothing to do with the main. I'm sure it's going to come back into the main series. But anyways, this first issue, though, kind of focused on, the first story that Jason Aaron wrote in here. And I think from what my understanding is that every one of his first few issues is going to focus on a different turtle, and then they'll probably all come back together. And that's kind of like in the classic Ninja Turtles. They had those micro series issues too back in the day with the Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird turtles. So I think he's trying to do something like that, because like each issue has like a cover with one of the turtles on it. And like, so I believe that's the approach that he's taking. But in this one, Donatello wakes up and he's like a caged prisoner in like some safari park thing where they got different animals or mutant animals that they call them in this Ninja Turtles series. And this guy comes in, and some guy, I guess, paid to either fight one of the animals or like abuse it somehow. So he's like going through all the cages and looking at these things, and he's like some rich douchebag guy, and he's just like, oh, I don't like the way this one's looking at me over here. He's like, I want to fight this one. He's like, all right, but that one's pretty tough. Like, there's been a lot of other people that have tried to like come here and do that previous to you. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, I don't like the way it's talking. I don't fucking the way it looks. Yeah, this is the one right here. So he pays, I guess, to like fight this guy. And it turns out it's Donatello. Like he ends up coming out of the fucking cage that they have him in after he talks shit to him. And then the guy attempts to like attack him with a crowbar because they bring out all these weapons and they're like, oh, pick your weapon of choice that you want to use to like fight this thing or beat this thing up. And the guy picks up a crowbar. And then he goes to like attack him with it. And like Donatello just grabs like a fucking broomstick or something and uses it as his, as his stick that he normally uses and fucking beats the shit out of him like in no time. And then he ends up escaping the compound and attacking the people that are running this place. And it looks like he's just kind of on the run here for a moment. But then he ends up getting taken down. And what it looks like ended up happening was when he was out, he grabbed some food, like smuggled some food under his clothes and brought it back for the other animals that are in prison. Like, so he purposely, I guess, ran out and ended up getting caught just so he can get food back to the other people that are starving in the cages. And that are also like mutant animals, like people that mutated into these animals, which is something that happened in the IDW series. Like there's a bunch of people in New York that were affected by the mutagen at some point, and they ended up so they're basically like the X-Men mutants essentially of New York now, but there are these human/animals, like basically like the Ninja Turtles, but they're also like there's otters, there's fucking bird people, there's all kinds of different animals like that these people turned into now. And that's kind of where we left off in this story. So he has a lot of really good artists that are going to be working with him on these issues. And I really like Jason Aaron, and this was a good, I think, a good intro story to kind of lead us into the series next month. And then, this is a backup story about the Monster Island that's going on here, and kind of sets up a story about like he had somebody that was working for him that also got mutated into some Spider Woman, and she ends up like killing a bunch of people in this one. So he ends up having to take her out. And this is basically just in favor to the government to like leave them alone in their own territory. So it's kind of like their own Krakoa type of situation going on here with some of the mutant animals in this book. But I think overall I'd give this 3.75 out of 5, just because there wasn't too much of the main story to kind of like go off of. But otherwise, I thought it was a good lead into and really very much looking forward to the new Jason Aaron series that's coming out next month. Then next up, we got Falling in Love on the Path to Hell #1. I don't have the art for this one. It was a really cool cover. It kind of looks like a Star Wars or something like that. So this is basically takes place at simultaneously somebody like in the Wild West era and like feudal Japan, like when they're basically getting to the point where the samurai, it's like the last of the samurai, they're being taken over and colonized, and like they're losing their culture and stuff like that. And the samurai are basically going to become like non-existent anymore. Like there's 2 warriors and 2 stories at the intro in this story that basically both die at the same period, like, or same. They both die under certain circumstances that they're both warriors. Like there's a guy who gets shot in a gunfight at the start of this. That's like a cowboy. And then this woman who's like a samurai who ends up fighting a bunch of people. And as they're being taken over, and they're basically the samurai are going to not cease to be, she gets killed in a fight. Then some cosmic kind of like weird thing happens where both of them somehow travel over to I guess like a hell plane, like essentially, hence the name of Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. And they're basically both end up in the same place, which I guess is hell. And now they have to try to survive in this other like landscape now, and I'm guessing they're gonna fall in love along the way. But Gary Brown, this is written by Jerry Duggan, and Gary Brown is the artist on here, who I've really enjoyed his work over the years when I've seen him do other stuff. This has got to be the best I've ever seen him like look, so that's really cool. I'm really glad that he's doing a creator-owned book, and it looks great. And I love samurai stuff. And this also has the Wild West kind of aspect to it as well. So that's really cool. They have a cowboy guy in here, and the art's killer. And I thought it was a really good first issue. And when they go to hell, they run into like somebody else from some other place in time on the road to hell. And they also run into like some creatures that they end up having to like fight. And yeah, they're definitely in some sort of afterlife here. And somehow they both ended up in the same place. But then you have a character that's basically like here, he looks like this essentially. So it's kind of interesting. I really like the cast of characters, and the art looks really great, and the story is very interesting so far. So I gotta give this a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really good first issue, and I look forward to more. And then lastly, for at least books that I've read here, I got KN19. Not too much to say on this. I actually didn't really love this issue. This is like one of those standalone issues that he tells a story in between story arcs. And this was a singular issue where it jumps to the future. And Kea is basically someone who saves slaves basically, and is on a pirate ship, and she saves people from getting enslaved, like different creatures and stuff like that. And it's just about her pirate adventures on the ship. The problem is, like, we don't really have it jumps in the future. You don't really know how she got to this point. It's like just a possible future that may or may not happen. We may not get to this point in the book. We'll see how long it goes on, but it's a possible future for this Kea character. And while I think that's a good idea of having her on a pirate ship helping people like this, they're just, for a one-shot standalone issue was a fun idea, but I just kind of, it was okay. I didn't love it though. Like, there wasn't too much going on that they couldn't really even do in this issue, because it is just a one issue thing, right? So I give this like a 3.5. I thought the backup story was really good. It was written and drawn by this artist Junie Ba that did that Robin Boy Wonder book. And for whatever reason, the art looked way better here than it did on that Robin book. So I really like the backup story a lot. So 3.5 out of 5. All right, Chris, Wolverine Blood Hunt #1.
Yeah, I just read this one online, and I think I like this one. It just reminded me of some good old Wolverine just going out there killing people, or killing whatever vampires. And then they have what's his buddy's name from the X Times, or the Weapon X Times, is Maverick.
Yeah,
I was like Maverick. I know why they got always pegged as a bad guy. I remember reading him back in the day when they were a team. He's almost like a Deadpool type character.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he showed up in here. But just the stuff with just like that opening scene where he takes out all those zombie army people, that was pretty good. And who comes to save him? What's that vampire? Or no, some lady, I forget what the character's name is. Yeah, her with the whatever, the Union Jack there or something. Whatever, she turns into a vampire. There's a new character for me. And I was pretty interested in what's going on there. And then, like I say, we got Maverick showing up, and he gives Wolverine the story there. Hey, look, I think humanity is losing this battle, and we can use this. We can use a general, and we choose you. And see what he decides. Of course, he's going to say no, but it's a nice proposition.
Yeah, her name's Louise, and she was trained by the Night Guard. This is actually because Benjamin.
Is she like another world person or no?
I mean, it seems that way, right? Like, she's like a Van Helsing. Like, she kind of seems like Elsa Bloodstone type of character, right? And I didn't remember this, even though I read it. They actually tied this into the start of Benjamin Percy's Wolverine run, because the start of his run, there was a vampire storyline going on somewhat in Benjamin Percy's Wolverine run, and she is from that start of Benjamin Percy's run. Like, they reference it, and in the editor's notes they say that she was from Benjamin Percy's, like, the early issues of his Wolverine run. So they kind of tied this together with that as well, which I thought was cool. Yeah, this was fun. You know what was fun about this? It was just nice and simple and had really good art. I thought Juan Jose Rip was it was
Yeah.
great on this. I'm a huge fan of his art. He's definitely, like, I think a little less detailed now that he's kind of doing some big two comics that I'm seeing him on. It's a little bit more polished, a little bit more smooth, his art, and still looks great though. And yeah, it was just like a fun, like Wolverine on the road fighting vampires type story. So yeah, I can get behind that. I think I've pre-ordered this whole miniseries. So and Tom Waltz is the writer on this, who wrote the first 100 issues of IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So there you go. It all comes full circle. So yeah, good stuff. This was fun. And Maverick is always cool too when he shows up. I agree. So what'd you give this?
I got a 3.75.
Same. Stuff. Yeah, it's fun. All right, next up we got Get Fury #2.
Yeah, I've just been reading this one online, and I might have to see some of the preview pages for this one here. It's that this guy, the Watcher type character. But I guess he's not the Watcher, unless he's revealed to be the Watcher at the end or something. He seems to be some sort of metaphysical character.
Yeah.
But I think I'm getting kind of mixed up between what Fury's up to and what the Punisher is up to here in this comic. But I don't know, for this Garth Ennis stuff, I was expecting more, I think. I'm kind of glad I didn't buy into this. But it's still, it's still some fun writing, great art, that works with the storyline that's going on. And that's pretty much, that there's nothing too sort of over the top or, very, I don't know what the word is, epic going on here. It's just
it's definitely I think it's definitely a slow burn. I'm still really enjoying this. The thing that you learn in this issue is that they sent Frank Castle to get Fury out of this situation because they are worried that he's going to be tortured and give up secrets of the CIA and all that. But what they don't know is that, which they find out by sitting down and talking in this issue, the officials there that sent him out on this mission, that Frank Castle is actually the person that apparently he killed a bunch of people. They find out in this. They think it was Nick Fury that killed these people in this situation. Meanwhile,
something I missed there. So the
Yeah.
The reason they're trying to kill Nick Fury is for something the Punisher did.
That's right. So
right.
The very person that they sent to retrieve Nick Fury for something they think that Nick Fury did was actually Frank Castle who did it. And now they've just basically unleashed the Punisher, which he isn't at this time, but he does have that fucking bloodthirsty, like fucking violent nature to him that they're learning now. Unleashed him basically upon these people.
On an innocent Nick Fury, it seems.
So the fun part about that is they're going to they've thrown Frank Castle into this war zone to retrieve Nick Fury out of there. And he's basically just going to kill all these people now. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. Maybe once that starts happening, then this will pick up here.
Oh yeah. I have no doubt. I've loved
that. It should be a blood fest, really.
Well, yeah, it seems like they give you a little bit every issue. Like in this one, the gruesome part in this issue was that at the end here, they fucking shoved Nick Fury's face into somebody's did
the Punisher kill or did Frank Castle kill all those people in the village or something? Like, did I miss that? Because they bring him to some village and everybody's just freaking gutted.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's what happened, but we don't know that yet, the way it ends. Okay. They just see all the destruction and they're punishing Nick Fury, who's their captive right now. Like this, they're basically, that's who they have captive right now. And they're punishing him because to them, it's his people trying to come and save him. And they're just like, yeah, well, fuck you. Like he shoves him inside of his, his intestines, this guy in the ground, right? And he pulls his head back up and he's got his face is just painted with his blood and guts. And I just, I do like that they take those moments to kind of give you those little scenes each issue, at least because everything else is kind of just building, but it's not building to a place where I think this is not
to a good place. Like they should be ramping up that violence. And then, like I say, or like you're suggesting, if you can just
Yeah,
not penultimate issue or whatever, even still,
yeah,
just drop that gore bomb on us. And
yeah.
if they
Oh,
do, it looks like it's going to be bad because
yeah.
they started up, with some pretty gruesome stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's a 6-issue series. We're only on 2 now,
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a. I think now at time, I'll give it a 3.7. I'll give it a 3.75.
I'll give it a 4. Yeah, I can't. I agree. Like, listen, it's not gonna make my favorite of the week. I just because of why it's been a slow burn. But like, if it was like hitting on all cylinders, there's nothing I think that would outbeat this game, this series for me. Like, because I very much like Garth Ennis and
There
the
could be
Punisher.
a 5 issue coming up. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, like listen, I so badly want to give this my favorite of the week. Both weeks it's come out. It's been a really good week that it's come out, and this is like there hasn't been that much that has happened, but it's still really good. Like I very much look forward to every issue of this. So yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. All right, next up, Batman 148.
Batman 148.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Okay, so I got questions about this comic here.
Yeah.
So is like Failsafe or whatever, Ben Zuranar, is he finished here or what? At the end of this? Because it seems like he beats him somehow. And this is the end of his dark prisons. Is this what happens in this comic? Like, never mind all the baloney that goes on in there. But that's the I guess the main idea of this story, right?
Yeah, it looks like it wraps up here. I did not like this issue. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was I don't know. Like there's been so much buildup for them just to turn around and give us one of these like you can't beat the Bat family moments at the end of this
Yeah.
issue. I'm just like seriously. I was like, that's it. Like, like I don't know. I was
Yeah, it's like I made you in my mind, and then I can beat you. But then they had, the thing is, this Bender Zurnar, he's got that freaking failsafe robot body that freaking took out,
yeah.
Whatever, like Batman, Superman, everybody. And this is just on pure logic. Never mind what's going on here. But I don't think that's the end for Zurnar because somehow he's involved in this absolute power event. And I think this story got hijacked by that absolute power event.
Yeah, well, he's still inside this. Basically, though, they just ended up taking him down here. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the last we're going to see him because, like you just pointed out, that he is going to be in that upcoming event. But this was just like the way they ended it. It was just like they ended up teaming up together, the Bat family, in order to take him out. And that is what he needed to succeed in order to take this guy out, because that's the one variable and thing that this version of Batman does not have is his Bat family behind him, which, yes, in concept, that's a fine thing. But we've seen it done in Batman comics before. And for that to be like the thing that like, you know what I mean? Like wins the day here in this comic. I was just very, very fucking underwhelmed by that. I was just like, because there was there's been a lot of lead in to this fucking conclusion of this series, of this arc. And for that to be the case, like, I was like, I don't know. I was just like, he's on the run. This guy's chasing him down. It's like Terminator. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't know what to tell. All of a sudden he overcomes him. Like, it's nothing. Like, he's like, oh yeah, all I needed was my family. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine and all. But like, I don't know. It could have been like a little bit of that, but like, something else that like made it like, so they like beat this guy. But I thought that was so fucking hokey. Like, I just like that. And I know that you're usually not a fan of that kind of shit. It was it was told well enough. I can't believe like that's what it took for him to
my thoughts about this at the end of the day. Batman is not going to be so brooding so much anymore because now that supposedly that the Zuranar was the one that made Batman suspicious about everything.
Yeah.
And basically it's all the stuff that made Batman good. My question is, I wonder who came up with this idea. Was this Chip Zdarsky going to DC? Goes, look, I got this idea here. I can make, we can reboot Batman and, just so he's not like, he's been for the last whatever, since Dark Knight came out. Or did like DC go, hey, look, we can't have Batman stuck in this Dark Knight persona. for whatever the last 20 years. We want to try and make him more like, I don't know, the freaking cartoon Batman or something.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point. Like, is this showing growth in him as a character, as a person? Possibly, and maybe that's going to lead to some more interesting things. But is this DC editorially driven? It's very possible. You're right. It is very possible that that's
Yeah, I wonder like who's driving this story. Is this what they asked Chip Zdarsky to do, or did Chip Zdarsky come up and go, look, this is what I want to do, and they were on board with it? I don't know.
it certainly doesn't help. Now, I will say this, it certainly doesn't help that he is in this fucking upcoming event. If anything, I bet you that he had other intentions for this story, and then they're like, you know what, we like this character, we're going to use him in
Yeah,
this fucking event. That I could see happening. And if that's the case, there's not much he can change or do.
I think his story might have got hijacked here.
Yeah, and that's fucked if that's what happened. And it happens in comics all the time. So like, I wouldn't be surprised, but that's disappointing because like this was a fucking underwhelming, lackluster conclusion to this story, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like I'm not so much against the Bat family once again coming together. And again, it's been done before. I have no problem with that as a concept, but it's just like this story was so much more interesting than that. And for that to be like the way that they saved the day at the end of this, I just like, I don't know, I rolled my fucking eyes reading
yeah,
this. I was like, really? I was like, and you know, you have Jorge Jimenez on art, who's amazing. Like we've talked about how much we love him. And you know, Zdarsky, I think, was doing a really good job at this story. But then like this was just like, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was underwhelming for sure.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. Like I'm gonna give it a decent rating, but like I was like, yeah, not I was expecting a lot more. What'd you give this?
I got to give it a 3.75. I can't give it more.
I'm gonna go 3.5 on this one. I even played with the idea of a 3.25 for a second, but again, I'll give it a boost for the Jorge Jimenez. And again, it wasn't bad. It was just underwhelming. So I expected a lot more. Like I did, but maybe you're right. Maybe you touched on a good point here, like that we could show it could be a turning point for him now that he's trying to put more trust behind the people like with him. And again, it's been done before. This is nothing new where he's had these fallouts with his family. And then he's like, oh, I need my family and blah, 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 blah. And, and they come together and they fucking beat the bad guy. Like this is nothing new in that sense. But, I think it is interesting that now he doesn't have that fail-safe backup anymore to lean on. Right. So that is kind of interesting, but with the what is it the anniversary issue coming up now, I hope he has something more interesting to add to this, right? So I guess we'll see. So with
a dinner party, Batman's gonna be cracking jokes.
Birds of Prey number 10, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I just read this one online. It's a fun series. I'm sure like I say, going back to how this was presented, whoever's, in the editorial there, basically, well, the Birds of Prey, they go through these pocket dimensions. Whoever walks through first, it becomes sort of their ideal timeline. So that's what I understood here is that Barda went through first, and somehow she thinks the 1950s was an ideal timeline for her. So basically, they're fighting in the 50s. And, you get to see them, they all change their clothes all the time. So it sounds like something good on paper. You get all these nice characters there. You get to, flesh them out in different ways. But the story, I don't know about this story.
I mean,
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
What do you think about what's going on here?
It was a lot, I think, to ask of the readers to learn this whole new character and her background and everything that, like, you know what I mean? Like, here's what I'll say. Kelly Thompson, wrote this as well. We just talked about it earlier on Scarlet. It's a ballsy move. It's an ambitious move, I think, on her part to introduce this whole new character and backstory and everything into what could be a fairly simple and fun storyline of them just hopping to different dimensions, right? But she's not only just gonna rest on the laurels there; she's actually gonna give you this whole other new character and reason for her being, and the reason that the portal dimension things are like this. And like there's this whole turmoil between her and her sister and all her siblings that have been killed by her. Like I can get behind that story, but it was just not what I was expecting from an issue of Birds of Prey, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's like its own other thing, right? So like it was almost like she's just taking leftover ideas that she has for something else, and she's like, I'm just gonna throw this in this Birds of Prey series.
Yeah, I got pocket dimensions. I could do anything every time.
So I would have I think it would have worked a lot better if you just stuck with hey, this is the Birds of Prey just jumping through different dimensions every issue. I can get a different artist on every issue. But you know what I mean? Like, so that's what I mean. I think it is very ambitious. I think it's a well-told story. It's just a lot to take in in the midst of like, we still haven't really caught our bearings for like the main core group of Birds of Prey. Right. So I didn't hate it, but I was not expecting it to kind of go in this direction, so I didn't love it either. So it's kind of middle.
Yeah, I just feel like this whole series is lost. Like it hasn't found its whatever it's about.
Yeah, here's the thing. I still do really enjoy it. Like I do think it's a good series, but it's hard for me to like, if I was going to give an elevator pitch to somebody about this Birds of Prey book, you know what I mean? Like I will say it's very different than other Birds of Prey books I've read, but is it really a good representation of the Birds of Prey? Not really. I mean, this is a weird team. Like you got weird, like I like the idea there's different characters on the team and everything else, but like it's a weird book. Like we're 10 issues in, like you said, it's kind of unclear like what the direction is of this title, right? So I don't know. She's trying things. I mean, this is her first DC work too, Kelly Thompson. So I'm kind of rooting for her to hopefully do well enough that she gets other gigs, because I've loved everything she's done over at Marvel. I think she's a really good writer and one of the few really good female writers, honestly, that I really enjoy, right, in the industry. So, so yeah. Anyways, what did you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5.
Same.
I did like the art though. The art's great in this though.
Yeah. And you got different artists on these books, and I'm sure that's the case like by design with these different issues with different dimensions. You're gonna have other good artists on the book. Yeah, I give it 3.5 as well. All right, and then finally we got Amazing Spider-Man number 51 this week.
Sick cover for this one. I love this cover.
Yeah, the next one too actually is a really good cover. Some good Ramita covers here, actually, finally. Or is this him? Maybe not. Oh, no, this is McGinnis. Yeah, this is me. Yeah, I think this is McGinnis, actually.
Yeah.
I take it back. Sorry.
The nice sick cover. Art inside there. Like I say, I don't know if it's just that, they've Amazing Spider-Man has been feeding us freaking bread for the last day, and now we're just getting a hot dog, and you think the hot dog's the greatest thing ever. But I think it's the greatest thing ever. Not ever, but this for Amazing Spider-Man for sure. Like, just having the Sinister Six there, they're not my favorite crew, but I'm loving what they're doing with this crew here. They got the Norman Osborn calling them or them calling Norman Osborn. I don't know however that worked out. And then he's going, "Oh, I got something for you." And they're like, "Yeah, what do you got? You got nothing, Jump." And then they send in the Spider Goblin. I'm sure he's not the favorite. I don't like him, but he's kicking ass, and I just love to see the ass kicking going on. Like why he got there, okay, that's a little suspect. And now that he's there, though, he's Peter Parker. I don't care. But nice little twist of the story there is what's his name? They're throwing in Chasm and Hallows Eve, which are surprisingly, Hallows Eve is a character that I seem to really like. And, Chasm, I could, love him or hate him, let him come here or go. But he seems to be, kind of being redeemed there. Like he hasn't decided what he's going to do. And I did get fooled by this stupid Mysterio trick. Oh, fuck. When these guys showed up, I go, oh, yes, this is supposed to freaking kick ass. And then no, like I thought freaking they're gonna actually have the Spider Goblin freaking throw down against Captain America, Wolverine. Like I'm thinking, what the hell is Wolverine doing there personally?
That's why like this group here, I think it's kind of smart on their part because this is like the mid 2000s Avengers team that they're showing. This is like Bendis's Avengers where Wolverine was part of the Avengers, but there's no like this is not this period's Avengers team. So like the fact that Mysterio did this and fucked up in that sense, I thought was really fun too because like Captain Marvel doesn't look like that anymore. She doesn't wear that costume costume. Spider-Woman does like so that I thought that was actually really smart on his part to kind of do it that way. I thought so, like even for eagle-eyed readers would be like, wait a second, right?
Yeah.
But I fell for it too, Chris. I was just like,
Yeah, I'm so excited. With Captain America, Captain America and Spider-Man have such a great dynamic.
yeah,
With Captain America, I was kind of,
Boy
kid, what are you
Scout.
doing here? And
Yeah,
being a wise, like the mentor almost but he never is.
yeah,
He should be. That'd be a freaking great thing there. But that's what Spider-Man's kid. Spider-Man's a grown man here now. But everything that's going on here, and like I said, the stuff with Kaz in there at the end, whether he's going to help Spider-Man or Peter Parker out or not, and then the stuff with the living brain doing whatever he's doing there to try and, I imagine, to try and fix things.
yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Then even when Craven hits him with that spear, Craven thinks he's got the ultimate weapon to make to save, I don't know, the Spider Goblin or something, and he pops him with it, and then I guess the Spider Goblin tells him, "Hey, look, man, this is me. This is the way it is." So that was an interesting twist. So I think it was all good stuff here, and I really enjoyed this one.
No, you're right. This is a hell of a lot of fun, this book, and honestly, even more so hearing you talk about it and talking about the book, I do have even more appreciation for it. Like, I don't know, he definitely has like so many different balls up in the air at this point that he's touching on, so many different plot points that are going on in the moment in this story, and it's all really fun stuff, fun, dumb, kind of like classic Spidey type shit that's going on. I even like when Chasm showed up at the end here. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna help you." Probably. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. Well, he's thinking about it. He's got some bad feelings.
And
but I like the thing too, where Hallows Eve is all concerned. Oh, what's going on? You think his brain is all mental, or getting twisted. He's like, oh, it's not me.
right. And like the Mysterio bit was fun, and I gotta point this out too. I really liked this little thing that they did. Like this whole phone call scene, like you said, was fucking hilarious with Doc Ock and Norman. And like I love how the McGinnis with the art, he did that like phone cord like separation with the panel borders. I thought that was I love when they do shit like that. Like that's just a nice little touch. I thought and that whole scene was great. And like you said, I mean, some people might like groan at this kind of shit with him being the Green Goblin, but hey, if he's going to turn back to Peter in a couple of issues, then I'll
enjoy him while he's here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Zeb Wells, like I said, at the best of times during his run, has leaned into the dumb and fun aspect of Spider-Man, and he's able to pull it off, honestly. And I agree with you. Hallows Eve is a great character. And I think she has some lasting power, but we'll see. That miniseries was a lot of fun. I know that we read of her. Good stuff. Good stuff all around. A lot of fun. Like this a lot. What'd you give this?
I give it a 4.25.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a 4, but talking about it now, yeah, we do get each other jazzed up over this. Like you said,
good Spider-Man is a good Spider-Man. Gotta enjoy it to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, that's all we want to talk about that we read this week. But let's talk about what we're reading next week.
Oof. Like I said, I don't think I have a big week. I looked through Marvel. I might be only getting one. I got nothing from DC. I think there might be Transformers 9 coming out next week. And let's see what we got out of Marvel. Hold on a second here. So we got Blood Hunt. Getting that.
Yeah.
I might try and read Fantastic Four. Got Carlos Gomez there, so it's always easy on the eyes.
Oh, yes.
And let's see. That's pretty much it. There's this Blood Hunt Jubilee. Not too interested in that. This Era of Apocalypse. I don't know what that's about. I don't want to get involved there. And that's it for Marvel. So it's basically Blood Hunt.
Yeah.
The Red Bag edition. So I hope it's comes out online, or I'm not reading anything.
Yeah. I got the Red Band one too. Yeah.
DC. There's nothing in DC that I'm getting. I think it was just Transformers out of Image. So maybe I'll order in some food on that day because I don't got to spend my money on comics.
Not too much for me either, actually, this week. Not too much. DC, I think the only one that I'm seeing that I'm picking up is Batman Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting that.
Kryptonian Age.
Kryptonian Age. Yeah, I think I got a variant cover for that.
#1. So I got that from DC. But other than that, I think that's it for DC actually next week that I'm reading. That I'm picking up. But other things I'm picking up here, physical release of is I got that one from DC, and then Blood Hunt, like Chris mentioned, Deadpool, Wolverine, World War III, #2, Deviant, #6, Napalm Lullaby, #4, Transformers, #9. I also got another series that's coming back. It's more of like an indie series from like the 90s or late 80s, 90s era. Hate, it's coming back in a mini series. Like that was like popular with like 8 Ball and stuff back in the day. And he's coming back with a 4-issue mini series called Hate Revisited. So I have that first issue of that coming out next week. But yeah, that's about it. I'm just looking to see if there's anything I'm reading digitally. Nothing from DC. I'm just looking right now. Let's see here. IDW, nothing from Dark Horse, nothing from IDW. Image. Geiger comes out next week. I'll read that online. Eat No Grave #2 comes out, but I don't know if I'm going to read that. That might be it. Yeah, I think that's it for Image. And then just quickly looking at Marvel to see if there's anything I'm reading digitally. Fantastic Four, like you said, 21. Yeah, I'll read that. And that might be Scarlet Witch #1 comes out. New relaunch of the Scarlet Witch series. I'll read that digitally. And I think that's it. So yeah, small week. So that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm not reading any more Ultimate X-Men. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's about it. There you go. So that's what we're looking forward to reading next week, guys. Make sure to tune in, like, subscribe, as always. Your favorite book of the week, Chris. What do we got?
Yeah, I think this a lot of good stuff this week. Nothing great, but the best thing I read, I think, I'll have to go with Amazing Spider-Man.
Nice. Definitely in the running. I wasn't probably going into this conversation, but the more we talked about it there, yeah, it's definitely in the running. Yeah, I thought it was a really good week, actually. A lot of good stuff. But in terms of like contenders, I think, yeah, I would say Spider-Man. I'm just looking over the list right now.
Probably Scarlet Witch. You seem to enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would have been in my running too.
X-Men 35 still in the mix, I think.
Yeah, it is a big issue. A lot going on there.
Yeah, but Scarlet #1 is my favorite of the week this week. Yeah, I got to go with Scarlet. I just think it was the best. It's a really good debut issue and probably like the funnest thing I think I've read this week. So, which really didn't take any effort on my part. Like you said, there's a lot of shit riding on the X-Men final issue and a lot of stuff that was unnecessary that they put in the issue with these backups. So that kind of tainted the experience a little bit, as much as I like that. And I think as a new good series that came out as well, I would also give a shout out to, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell was really good start. And the Ultimates and Concept alone, I thought was fun, but yeah, not close to Scarlet or Spider-Man this week. Those are my probably top 2 as well. So, going into this conversation, I didn't think Spider-Man was going to be that high, but here we are, right? A lot of good fun stuff happening in that book. So there you go, guys. Those are our favorites of the week. Make sure to tune in next week and like and subscribe. And Chris, thank you as always. All right, everyone, take it easy.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.